Hey, this is Robert Monroe, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about embarrassment. And here's the reason why. Whenever I set up a camera like this and I talk, and I know that other people can hear me, potentially in another room, I start to get embarrassed and I don't even want to set up the camera. And you might think, that's strange. You're sending this out to a bunch of people on the internet. Aren't you embarrassed then? Well, let me tell you a little story. If I'm on a stage, I don't ever get embarrassed. Like never. And this has been true since I was a little kid. I know it's different for everybody, but for me, I would walk out, no problem, play, talk, whatever, never really get embarrassed. And you could argue maybe it's just a lot of experience I had from a kid, but I think it's kind of a psychological, personal thing. So that got me thinking, what really is embarrassment? And the more I'm thinking about it, actually, as I think about it right now, I think it is something to do with judgment that is really from ourselves that we put on other people. So let me try to unpack that a little bit. What do I mean by judgment? I mean basically opinions and statements about us that are negative, that make us not feel very good, and kind of give this certain level of cost to something that we're doing. So let's kind of come up with the obvious example that most of you, I think, are probably scared of, which is I've been practicing this piece forever and ever. I'm ready to perform it. I go out on stage and I play two notes. The second note's wrong and people start laughing and they're like, "Oh, you're terrible." Well, why is that so scary? Well, it's because my ego and my sense of self-worth is tied up in that performance. Hence, I hit the wrong note. I've been practicing forever. Well, I must not be very good at my instrument. Therefore, I start feeling ashamed. I start feeling way further back than I thought I was. And then I have to go back and I have to practice. I have to recover my confidence. That's why that's so scary. Now, is that really true? And generally, I had a psychologist tell me this, and I thought this was brilliant. Because I typically go to worst case scenarios and I go, who cares? And I disregard other people's opinions. And he said, that's not even that healthy, because worst case scenarios really never happen. We think of them as this worst case scenario, but let's be honest, if you go on stage and you play a piece and you play some wrong notes, is anyone going to break out laughing while you're playing? No. That's just not going to happen. So you disregard the worst case scenario, and then you go with the more logical ones. So what is it we're really afraid of? And at the end of the day, I think it is this judgment. But where does this judgment come from? If you actually think about it, and this comes from something I've heard my uncle say, my dad say, lots of people say, people are not thinking about you, they're thinking about themselves. And so if you think about it from that lens, we're not really worried about what other people are thinking about because they're not worried about us. What we're worried about is what we think about. And I think, to go back to my personal example, me sitting in this room, I'm lowering my voice slightly as I'm filming this, one, because it's early in the morning. I don't want to wake everybody else up at this house that we're at on tour. But two, because I'm worried somebody's going to be like, ugh, he's talking to himself in his room? And I'm realizing, in reality, I am putting a lower value on this bit of time that I'm spending. Because I'm going, well, I'm a pianist. I should just be practicing or be doing something else. And I start saying, I should engage in this activity instead of this one. And really what that's doing is that's putting a box around my identity. And the more I think about it, the more that seems ridiculous. But unless you have this conversation with yourself, you're never going to know how ridiculous it sounds until you say it out loud. Now, it's not a silver bullet. I'm probably going to wake up tomorrow and have the same exact feelings about filming with a camera like this and just talking. But it's a start. It's a first step. So this is kind of my thoughts on embarrassment. I'd love to hear what you think embarrassment is and what embarrasses you. Let's get it all out in the open. I think that would be great. And like this video, it helps so much, and I will catch you guys next time.